amongst others, remove operational bottlenecks and resource gaps under the National Malaria Strategic Plan.
The establishment of this council is a great opportunity to ensure sufficient funding to protect the progress made so far, sustain the progress, and be on an irreversible pathway to ending malaria for good.
What is important to note today is that malaria is preventable, treatable, and curable.
Malaria vaccine promises to be a game changer within the malaria intervention toolkit, and Nigeria is expected to lead effort in Africa toward development of the vaccine and meeting the required financing obligation.
President Muhammadu Buhari, who inaugurated the council, said apart from causing severe disease and complication in pregnant women leading to high rates of miscarriages, malaria is also responsible for a considerable proportion of deaths in infants and young children under the age of 5.
The additional advocacy and funding the council will bring to the malaria control drive, we can anticipate a reduction in malaria burden that ensures that our children, pregnant women, indeed all Nigerians are shielded from the disease. We must work together to reduce the unnecessary deaths attributable to malaria and ultimately improve the well-being of citizens.
The president described the membership of the council comprising a group of eminent personalities who have made their marks across all walks of life as a reflection of government's commitment to significantly reduce the malaria burden in Nigeria to a level where it is no longer a public health issue.
The successful implementation of the council agenda will result in improvement in the quality of life, health, and well-being of Nigerians by providing impetus for malaria elimination and by saving about 687 billion naira nationally, which is the estimated economic burden of malaria for 2022. The savings could increase to 2 trillion naira in 2030. A concerted strategy to tackle malaria, therefore, has both public health as well as socio-economic benefits for Nigeria.
Apart from the desired advocacy, the Nigeria End Malaria Council has a mission to also galvanize action and mobilize resources towards ending malaria in Nigeria by the year 2030. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Away from malaria, but still on health, aside one confirmed case of monkeypox virus recorded in Ebonyi State, 32 other persons are suspected to have the virus. The Commissioner for Health, Dr. Daniel Mezurike, said this while briefing newsmen on the efforts to curtail further spread of the disease in the state. Kanayo Okoro reports.
Only a confirmed case of monkeypox in Abakaliki, the Ebonyi State capital. Dr. Umezrike, while updating newsmen, said the patient has continued to respond positively to treatment in one of the isolation centers in the state.
That we recorded one case who has a travel history from Port Harcourt, River State, and stayed for some time, and they returned precisely on 7th of August. We have also enlisted all the contacts for contact tracing. So far, we are monitoring the no other person that's been affected. Still all very okay.
When urging the people of the state to go about their normal businesses and observe all COVID-19 protocols and to refrain from self-medication, the commissioner said the government is already carrying out sensitization in the council areas to curtail the spread of the disease.
What we are doing is to manage this, then ensure that any contact is traced and also managed. And also we have activated our active case search to ensure that if there's any other case in the state, even not related to this particular index case, that we pick it up and manage it.
In Abakaliki, Kana Yokoro, NTA News.
And from monkeypox, we move to two other viral diseases, COVID-19 and Marburg. A memo which emanated from the University of Abuja Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada, with the title Outbreak of Marburg Disease and COVID-19 Infection has been in circulation and causing panic in some quarters for obvious reasons. This underscores the need for clarification, and joining me live via Zoom for the clarification is Head Infectious Disease Unit of the hospital, Dr. Vivian Kwage. Welcome to Network News, Dr. Kwage.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, I guess other Nigerians, as curious as I am to know what this memo is all about. Has the hospital recorded a case of Marburg?
No, not at all. Let me start by apologizing on behalf of the hospital for that misconception that internal memo has caused. It was not intended to cause such panic. The memo emanated from the Infection Prevention Control Committee that wanted to create awareness within the hospital community that we shouldn't lower our guard on infection prevention and control, because there are still some infectious diseases out there, that will cause a lot of havoc within the hospital. We heard of 2 cases of Marburg in Ghana, and we know Ghana is very close to Nigeria, and many Nigerians traveling day in, day out from Ghana to Nigeria. So the committee just wanted to create awareness that people should not throw away their infection prevention control measures, okay?
All right.
Continue to uphold infection. Yes, exactly. So not because we have a case
All right, doctor.
of Marburg in the hospital, there is we don't even have any case isolation center. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That response, of course, brings relief. But what is the situation with COVID-19? Is there an upsurge in cases? And how is the isolation center at the moment?
Yes, we have seen an increase in the number of positive cases of COVID-19, but none has been hospitalized because they are all mild disease. People that have mild, now no COVID case in our isolation center currently.
Okay, so what advice do you have for Nigerians in terms of protection against these viral diseases?
Yes, the advice we want to say is that people should not lower their guards. We should continue with our hand washing measures. We should continue to maintain social distancing. We should continue to use our face masks when we are in an enclosed environment. It's not yet over, so we shouldn't lower our guards. And that's the information we want to pass across the entire nation.
Many thanks, Dr. Vivian Kwage. The information has been passed. Thank you for your time. Away from health issues, drivers of the 2023 population and housing census in Nigeria are optimistic that the census data generated will come handy in addressing the country's development challenges. This was part of submissions at a 3-day retreat on a review of the 2023 trial census in Abuja. Olusheye Adiago has details.
The recently concluded trial census held in 286 local government areas across the country is to test sworn procedures and technology for the 2023 population and housing census. The exercise is over, and it is time to start harmonizing, interrogating, and documenting the lessons learned during the census dress rehearsal. This retreat is to serve that purpose, with organizers saying they will elicit implementable recommendations that will aid the major exercise in April next year.
This retreat, therefore, is a necessary first step towards strategizing for the conduct of the census that will truly be digital, scientific, and produce data that will guide planning within the context of global economic challenges. This retreat is expected to provide an avenue for self-examination and also project its overall readiness to deliver on a credible, transparent, and accessible census in 2023.
Partners of the census programs, including the Nigerian Television Authority (NTA), gave scorecards of their involvement during the trial census.
The task ahead is huge and complex, and all hands must be on deck.
NTA is also ready to give the exercise the full complement and the full coverage it desires.
NPC's commissioners from the 36 states of the Federation and the LCT, alongside all the participants who championed the 2022 trial census, will be submitting findings and recommendations at the retreat in Abuja. Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
In other news, President Muhammadu Buhari sends best wishes to former military President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida on his 81st birthday. President Buhari joins family, friends and associates of the former leader in celebrating another year heralded by God's benevolence and mercies. The president notes the historical role of the former military president in shaping the political and economic development of the country and his counsels to upcoming political leaders. Time for first break. Please stay.
Your line blocked? Then move to Glow.
And experience extraordinary value with Bracketed times 10.
Simple.
Get 10 times for every airtime recharge, up to double your data, and free 1,000 naira welcome credit.
And it's for new and existing Glow customers.
10 times the value of every recharge you make. Get it only on Glow. Dial *777# or get a Glow SIM today with Glow Bracketed times 10.
Thank you, Glow.
Never again should this happen. We have passed through this path before, and it was not good for us. I remember the horror, the crying, the blood, dead bodies everywhere. I almost lost my mind. I could not sleep. I remember the cry of innocent children. Many lives were changed forever. We shall never go through that path again. Let us all stand in solidarity with our armed forces, our men and women. Oh, we must stand in truth, in honesty, to build a vibrant nation. A nation that you and I can be proud of.
When we wanted to move faster and see more of the world, we found a way. We also found ways to connect beyond boundaries. And when an unprecedented pandemic tried to derail us, we found ways to get ahead.
Are we ready?
Ready.
As your bank, we have stayed proactive, creating dynamic solutions and leveraging cutting-edge technology to drive global expansion into new markets. We rolled up our sleeves to be human together, doing more, innovating smarter, and always showing up for you. So come on board, let's give you more.
Access more than banking.
His Excellency Yesom Ezewawike, CON, GSSRS, POS Africa, Governor of Rivers State, cordially invites the general public to the official commissioning of the remodeled Waterlines building along the Port Harcourt-Aba Expressway in Port Harcourt. With the remodeling of the Waterlines building, Governor Wike has demonstrated coveted leadership audacity that promotes the culture of maintenance of public facilities. His Excellency Alhaji Ibrahim Idris Rice, former governor of Kogi State, will commission the edifice on Wednesday, 17th August 2022, time 11 a.m. All invitees must adhere to COVID-19 protocol, including wearing a face mask. You're welcome, Your Excellency, and all invited guests. Announcer Kelvin Ibiri, Special Assistant on Media to the River State Governor.
Times 10. Get a Glow SIM today and enjoy 1,000 Naira sign-on bonus for voice and data. All new and existing Glow subscribers also get 10 times the value of their every recharge, plus up to double their data recharge as bonus. All Glow subscribers also get up to free 20,000 Naira bonus for voice and data.
You're always running around. Keeping up with you needs a comforting touch from Huggies with the right stretch for how much you move. Huggies pants comfortably fit baby's tummy. Their 360-degree comfort fit waistband makes them easy to open and pull off and on, so baby can keep on exploring and you keep doing great, Mom.
Now in a new look pack. Thank you for staying. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency predicts extreme rainfall in coming days. The agency also says possible flooding might affect farming activities. Musa Aliyu has the details.
States in the northwest and central regions have experienced excessive rainfall in the last couple of days. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency says about 100 millimeters of rainfall was recorded in the northwest and 50 millimeters in the north central. This has resulted to flooding, which have displaced more than 200 communities, where 50 lives were lost.
And over the weekend also, over 250 communities were affected in some northwestern states. Precisely in Sokoto, more than 200 houses were destroyed in Tangaza.
The Nigerian Meteorological Agency therefore announced that above normal rainfall is expected in 17 states in the next coming days. The states are Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, Katsina, Kano, Jigawa, Bauchi and Yobe. Others are Borno, Gombe, Adamawa, Oyo, Osun, Ondo, Ogun and Lagos states.
While substantial part of north central states and northeastern states will be normal, will be having normal conditions, and these states includes Kaduna, Plateau, Adamawa, Nasarawa, including FCT, Niger, Kwara, Kogi, Ekiti, Edo, Benue, and Taraba states.
States and local governments are therefore advised to ensure people residing in flood-prone areas are evacuated. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Spain firefighters continue to battle wildfires as Berlin dries up following extreme drought in Germany. Here's Onengie Fanface with Global Climate Watch.
Government officials in Spain say firefighters are still battling a huge wildfire in southeastern Spain that has burnt through nearly 10,000 hectares in an area notoriously difficult to access. In Birmingham, the UK's longest warning maker of fuel cells, Adelan, hopes to see the hydrogen capacity take off in the coming years as concerns such as climate change and, more recently, energy security are boosting demand. Hydrogen vehicles are cheaper to fuel and do not emit any air pollution. But fueling stations are still very rare and the economy is at the early stage, says Adelan CEO Michaela Kendall. Meanwhile, after 4 inconclusive sessions, UN member states resumed talks aimed at finally completing the treaty to protect the world's high seas, a vital yet fragile resource that covers nearly half the planet. In other reports, Berlin is switching off the lights of 200 buildings to save energy in a bid to offset a looming Russian gas crisis. As of the end of July, 6 monuments and landmarks are no longer illuminated at night, according to the Senate's Environmental Administration. This comes as a large part of Germany gets into a state of extreme or exceptional drought, including the capital city. Now, scientists say repeated heat waves are an unequivocal marker of global warming, and these heat waves are set to become even more frequent, longer, and of course more intense. On NTA, Fine Face, NTA News.
Many thanks, NNG. And still on climate-related issues, the use of renewable energy, reduction of greenhouse gas emission are strategies to mitigate impacts of climate change in Nigeria. This is a submission of some experts in Akure on climate change mitigation. Kayode Olorudare reports.
As the world's population continues to grow, so does the amount of garbage that people produce. The accumulation of these products has led to increase of plastic pollution around the world.
As a state, if we must really show that we want to climate change, then even in the production of our material, let's try and use renewable energy as much as possible.
As plastic is composed of major toxic pollutants, it has the potential of causing significant harm to the environment in form of air, water and land pollution.
If you say you want to landfill, the landfill, there are some chemicals, there are some emissions, methane especially, that will be generated by those things that you have buried. At the end of the day, they will also emit into the atmosphere. If they don't go into the atmosphere, they will emit into the soil. If they don't emit into the soil, they will emit into the groundwater. And we all depend on all of these for our survival. So, to me, the most formidable strategy is to go on recycling.
They also warned against the burning of plastic, as this can lead to harmful atmosphere condition and deadly illnesses. In Akure, Abiola Ariyo, NTA News.
In other news, the River State government has inaugurated a newly constructed VIP lounge at the domestic wing of the Port Harcourt International Airport to enable the airline provide excellent service to its very important personalities. Ogedi Inyekwe reports.
The VIP lounge of the domestic wing of the Port Harcourt International Airport, Omagwa, has been in a sorry state not befitting of a state like River State, to provide comfort for very important guests and passengers who visit the state. With the construction of a new lounge, passengers en route Port Harcourt will not only enjoy comforts, as the new facility will help the airlines provide premium service to deserving personalities. Nawike says the construction of the lounge is born out of his desire to give the state the best of infrastructure, despite the fact that the airport is managed by a federal government agency. He noted that maintenance is key to ensure that the edifice serves the purpose for which it was built.
We are willing to support our own people, but you must also give us that assurance that when the job is given to you, you complete it without any problems. For us, since we built it, we got away from the maintenance, so we please allow the contractor to give us what it is will be the maintenance cost of this edifice, so that we can continue to keep it the way it is.
The lounge is a story building housing an administrative block, a screening house and a security house on the ground floor, while the first floor accommodates the presidential lounge, the governor's lounge and other executive lounges. In Port Harcourt, Ogedi Inyekwe, NTA News.
Governor Abubakar Atiku Bagudu has lauded President Muhammadu Buhari's administration for the establishment of the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure Skill Acquisition Center and Agricultural Machinery and Equipment Development Institute in Kebbi State. Governor Bagudu made the commendation while flagging off a 5-day skills acquisition training and youth empowerment organized by Naseni in Birni Kebbi. Usman Abdullahi Shehu reports.
The theme for the 5 days trainee program is modern farming methods using improved farming implement in Kebbi State, which 100 participants are the prospective beneficiaries.
Kebbi State takes this opportunity and confidence that has been placed on us very serious, and we will partner, we will ensure that we support as a state, as a people, we reciprocate.
What you are here to offer by way of support to creation of empowerment, bringing about the desired improvement in agricultural skills production, mechanized farming among others, is certainly not a misplaced priority.
The Executive Vice Chairman of NASENI, Professor M.S. Haruna, who lauded the federal government unflinching commitment to the country's agricultural transformation over the years, appreciated Governor Bagudu's contribution in that direction, adding that it is through agencies like NASENI that the world-best economies drive their success.
The trainees are carefully selected. They just need some techniques, they need some scientific methods to improve.
Other speakers who graced the event described the agency as a springboard for Nigeria's industrial development. Ashura Adamu, on behalf of the participants, assured commitments. Highlight of the event include the presentation of presidential approval letter of establishment of the Skills Acquisition Center in Bagudu to the governor and presentation of modern equipment to the participants to ease their farming practices. In Birnin Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Away from Kebbi, former Minister of Interior, Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazau, has stressed the need for Nigeria to take a bold step towards reforming and restructuring its security system to combat current security challenges. General Dambazau stated this at the Blueprint Annual Public Lecture and Impact Series and Awards. Joseph Otsen reports.
It's the 11th anniversary of Blueprint newspaper, and attention this time around is directed at rebuilding a stable Nigeria.
Not allow the issue of insecurity to define the debates of 2023. Rather, the tone and narrative should be about human development, about education, about infrastructure, about economy, about health, etc.
With the theme 2023 Politics, National Security and Nigeria's Stability, former Minister of Interior Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazau, governors of Kogi and Yobe states, with other discussions, want Nigeria to re-examine its security architecture and address push factors of insecurity identified as poverty, injustice, religion and ethnic divides for a stable and progressive country.
The armed forces, that is Army, Navy and Air Force, have serious deficiency in the required strength necessary to deal with the kind of security challenges we are confronted with today. Actions against these violent criminals must be intelligence-driven, and the deployments of smart modern technology to facilitate surgical operations
suit that leader who you know will be able to be fair, just, and equitable.
For us to succeed, we must, as a deliberate policy, avoid politics and campaigns of hate and the promotion of religious and ethnic sentiments that have fast becoming major threats to our national unity and nationhood.
Personalities who made positive impacts on the development of Nigeria were presented with awards. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Rear Admiral Yaminu Ehinome Musa, retired, as the pioneer coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center. Before his appointment, Rear Admiral Musa had been the director of the Counter-Terrorism Directorate in the Office of the National Security Advisor since 2017. The retired naval senior officer served as the Nigerian representative at the Global Counter-Terrorism Forum for the last 3 years. The appointment is to take effect immediately and to run for an initial term of 5 years. Now time to head to Lagos, where Ingino is standing by to give us more news. Ingino.
Thank you, Henry.
The federal government is committed to ensuring timely preparation and submission of the annual budget in line with its public financial management reforms. Director General, Budget Office of the Federation, Ben Akabweze, affirmed this stance at an interactive session with representatives of MDAs on preparation for 2023 budget estimate. Abolade Salami reports.
Budget presentation by the executive to the legislative arm of government for consideration and passage in time past suffered some level of setback, thereby causing huge loopholes to the actualization of some mapped out plans. The federal government, in fulfillment of its agenda on public finance management from 2020 till date, commenced the January to December budget cycle as part of measures to drive accountability.
Unlike the former method where they pass it on to the budget office and then we begin to collate. This era, they prepare and they input. The only thing that we do is to collate all of them and make it a document.
In order for the 2023 budget proposal to meet up with the September directive by Mr. President, the Budget Office of the Federation has commenced a series of activities related to preparation, including engagement with stakeholders, consultations with key relevant revenue-generating agencies, and trainings of personnel of MDAs.
One big thing about this is that we have also tried to make the budget more comprehensive, and so we have introduced the revenue side. We've asked that they should report these revenues so that we are not underreporting government's revenue or government expenditures.
While the training is set to provide continuous learning meant to equip budget personnel with requisite knowledge, skills, and required tools to prepare and submit the 2023 budget in a timely and efficient manner, the session also afforded participants opportunities to compare notes.
I got to know much about the preparation of budgets through this training session.
The knowledge sharing exercise will involve over 4,000 participants responsible for budget preparation from 900 MDAs. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Close to 4,000 kilograms of cannabis sativa with street value of 308 million naira have been handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA. The drugs are a recent seizure by the Federal Operations Unit Zone A of the Nigeria Customs Service, in which 2 suspects were also arrested. Michael Olale reports.
The dimension of threats to internal security, no doubt, is connected with the inflow and distribution of illicit substances and drugs. These are products of some of the various attempts made daily to expand the network. But the Federal Operations Unit Zone A of the Nigeria Customs Service, armed with robust information and surveillance, nipped one of such efforts in the bud. Ebuka Mbamalu was arrested along Ogere-Ilaro Expressway in possession of 627 kilograms of cannabis sativa, and Iruka Chita had 80 parcels of same substance in his custody.
Bandits, Boko Haram, they use all these substance to charge them up in a way to allow them carry out their dastardly acts. It is our responsibility to ensure that illicit items do not find their way in.
To the NDLEA, it is a relationship with many wins on its sleeves attributed to the customs, and sustaining this is imperative in the enduring journey of stamping out drug abuse totally in the country.
We have a grand strategy called WADA, War Against Drug Abuse, that we're trying to take to the grassroots so that we're able to enlighten people for them to make the right choices in their life.
The Federal Operations Unit Zone A of the Nigeria Customs Service used the platform to signal its willingness to continue supporting interagency collaboration aimed at ridding the country of smuggled goods and dangerous products. In Lagos, Michael Olale, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. The news continues after this break with Iyenre in Abuja. Don't go away.
The Gulf Federation announces its first Nigeria Gulf Federation Summit. This summit will discuss salient topical issues that relate to the development and upliftment of Gulf in Nigeria. Chairman General IBM Haruna, special guest of honor, Honorable Minister of Sports Mr. Sunday Dare, convener Otumba Olusegun Mushewe, OON, President Nigeria Gulf Federation, date 31st August to 2nd September 2022. Venue Ladikwali Hall, Sheraton Hotel and Towers, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. This event is supported by Polaris Bank, Nigerian Television Authority NTA, Africa Independent Television AIT, Gulf Garden, Anchor Insurance and Royal Ceramics. Otumba Olusegun Mushewe, OON, President Nigeria Gulf Federation, announcer.
The power, the performance, concentrated power, concentrated performance, the partnership of concentrated power. Salty, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
It's been a long day, and nothing could feel better than sleeping comfortably. So relax, you won't be bothered by leakage or irritation tonight. Huggies Dry Comfort has a super fast dry layer that quickly absorbs wetness for all night dryness and comfort. So baby can wake up comfy and dry as the night before. And you keep doing great, Mom.
Now in a new look pack, available from 650 Naira.
Glovo is the app that brings you anything you want. Like a great burger and chilling after work. Or what you need from the supermarket, sharp. Even from diapers to escape real wahala. Download the app, order a Glovo, and we get it.
Music is fuel that fires up our soul. Today, African music has a dominant place on the world map. This massive music movement creating waves across the globe.
I have seen the evolution and the growth of this industry.
But every movement starts with a story, and the best place to start any story is at the very beginning.
There's a phenomenal energy that can only have come from Africa.
It's world
The STA Company announced the passing into glory of our beloved matriarch, Mariam Lami Muka, who died from May 4th, 1942 to August 3rd, 2022. She was aged 90 years. Funeral arrangement, Thursday, August 18th, 2022. Service of Sorts, venue, St. Pius Anglican Church, GRA Church, time 4 p.m. Friday, August 19th, 2022. Funeral service, venue, St. Pius Anglican Church, GRA Church, time 10 a.m. Interment follows immediately after at the final residence at 15 Naragata Avenue, GRA Church. Those who walk uprightly enter into peace and find rest as they lie in death. Ambassador James G. Oka,
can't feel at home in this.
Glad to have you back. UNICEF has developed the Multi-Cluster Survey, which is a household survey to assist countries fill the gaps for monitoring human development indicators. In 2021, it supported the federal government to begin the sixth of such surveys in the country. Muplang Dakok reports.
57% of children in Nigeria have now been immunized, as against the initial 33%, and 6 out of 10 children now have their births registered. These and more data make up the newly launched 2021 Multiple Indicator Cluster Survey and the National Immunization Coverage Survey Report. 2 important reports for the country, released by the National Bureau of Statistics and launched by the Minister of Finance, who represented the Vice President. As we launch this report today,
The quest to achieve our development goals and objectives is still the priority of government, particularly towards improving access to immunization for all our children as and when due.
The surveys are timely because they provide fresh data on women and children after the COVID-19 pandemic to provide evidence that will help shape interventions and focus resources in a way that helps children and their families reach their full potential.
Focuses on issues such as health, education, child protection, water and sanitation, among others. The survey also serves as a major source of data for assessing the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDG).
Data is the lifeblood of all our developmental efforts. Hence, the contents of this survey will help us not just to see challenges, but to help solve those problems.
The two surveys are expected to lead to the review of policies that will affect social inclusion and livelihood of Nigerians, especially women and children. In Abuja, Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Jaiz Bank PLC, a non-interest Islamic bank, has announced a 4 kobo per share dividend for the year 2022. Yesterday, Able reports that the financial institution affirms it will continue to keep investors and customers happy in line with its mandate.
Like every other financial institution, the year 2021 was quite eventful for Jaiz Bank PLC, a Nigerian-based non-interest Islamic bank, despite the global economic crisis posed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. The financial service provider is taking stock of its performance in the year 2021 and charting a new course for 2022. The annual general meeting, which showcases the business performance of the bank, shows that the gross earnings grew by 32% from 19.61 billion naira in 2020 to 25.84 billion naira in 2021. Profits before tax also recorded growth of 43% from 3.07 billion naira in 2020 to 4.37 billion naira in 2021, while financing and investments grew by 19% from 166 billion naira in 2020 to 197.50 billion naira by December 2021. Chairman of the bank, board of directors, audit committee members, regulators and shareholders are comfortable with the numbers.
With the new holdco structure, definitely the whole proposition will change and ensure that there will be a fair proportion of female
Consequently, the bank is expected to raise the capital of 150 billion naira through issuance of sukuk, either in full or serially.
We are not only concentrating on the bank alone, but other businesses will be generating revenue for the bank, which will all be plowed into the holding company.
As you can see, we are paying about 30% more in dividend. So all the indicators of performance has shown that Jaiz Bank is on track.
I'm very happy as a shareholder that I'm getting returns on my investment.
Despite all challenges in 2021, Jaiz Bank says it remains committed to providing returns and sustaining a win-win relationship with shareholders. In Abuja, Boss Sede Ebo, NTA News.
For more on business, let's join Benny Adams. Benny.
Thank you, Henry, and welcome to business. We start by telling you that the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Olamilekon Adegbite, says Nigeria is set to export only finished solid mineral products. The minister gave the assurance during a meeting with stakeholders ahead of the Nigerian Mining Week coming up this year.
Either though, Nigeria has been designated as oil and gas country strictly, which has overshadowed mining. We don't want Nigeria to be a net exporter of raw ore or raw materials anymore. We want Nigeria to become an industrial hub where finished products will be exported to different parts of the world.
The Nigerian mining roadmap in 2016
aims at seeing the mining sector contributing $27 billion to GDP by 2025. We believe this benchmark is achievable based on 2022 sector performance.
Taking a look at the equities market, the market closed green, rising about 47 billion naira as the all-share index increased from preceding day's low. 49,629.63 to 49,709.46 basis point. Market capitalization grew to 26.8 trillion naira. 204.1 million shares valued at 1.6 billion naira exchanged hands in 3,643 deals. FBNH, Extracts and UBA led in volume. That is Business News. Network News continues with Yere. Yere, it's now doing business with you.
Same here, Benny. Thank you for the update. The Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council is proposing $750 million World Bank-backed program for SAP nationals starting next year, just as state governments and their agencies would play a significant role in ensuring an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo made this assertion at a virtual meeting of the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council, where a presentation of the State Action on Business Enabling Reforms (SEBA) program, coordinated by the Secretariat and the World Bank, was discussed. The SEBA program is a 3-year performance-based intervention jointly designed by the World Bank and PBEC, with support from the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning and the Nigeria Governors Forum Secretariat. The purpose is to give incentives and strengthen the implementation of business-enabling reforms in Nigeria, specifically across the participating states of the Federation and the FCT. A debate on politics, the All Progressives Congress says parts of its reforms ahead of the 2023 general elections is to engage enlightened minds that have the capacity to resist electoral manipulations. The national chairman, Abdullahi Adamu, says the party's professionals forum will play an important role in realizing this agenda. Salihu Gwanara reports.
As politicians increase synergy and developing strategy, APC National Secretariat is not devoid of such activities. The visit by APC Professionals Forum is a unique one, as they came to share ideas and key into the party's new vision, which the national chairman Abdullahi Adamu said requires professional inputs.
So that we can be able to look at our government, talk to the government, talk to authority, and they know, yes, you are talking from a point of view of knowledge. You are talking from the truth, but nothing but the truth. But where we keep going, getting guided by misinformation, disinformation, it won't take us anywhere. No government in the world gets elected just to do bad.
Leader of the group, former governor of Bauchi State, Issa Yuguda, told journalists that the purpose of the visit is to sustain and maintain on track the party's agenda for positive transformation.
I believe the party will leverage on our presence to draw the necessary, skills that can enable them put square pegs in square holes.
Both the party and the professional group disclosed their plan to organize a national conference and APC candidates' town hall meetings as part of strategy to enlighten citizens. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Let's now have a feel of the ancient city of Benin, where Gochukuka Ona is standing by to feed us.
Thank you, Yere. Good evening. Curbing the menace of incessant building collapse in Nigeria and the need for imbibing maintenance culture on buildings took center stage at discussions at the 52nd Builders Annual Conference of the Nigeria Institute of Building held in Akure, Ondo State. Toyin Batire reports.
In recent past and up to date, Nigeria has recorded several cases of building collapse, which has taken its toll on the lives and property of the citizens. Consequently, building professionals across the country converged to brainstorm on how building collapse can be curbed in the interest of the nation. They highlighted training and retraining of local builders and harnessing of best modern practices as part of ways to arrest and forestall dilapidation and decay in buildings.
Current technologies, management techniques, materials of construction are now getting our members exposed to all of this. And so that this our incident of building collapse will not continue to be the narration in Nigeria.
Professionalize the practice of building in Nigeria and skill the entire system. Builders must take charge of the human resources within the entire system of the building construction. We are having building collapses because all of you, or most of you, in the industry are not doing what you.
Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu promised to domesticate the National Building Code.
To see most of our community depreciate without.
Inaugurations of artisans and National Steering Committee of the Institute were highlights of the conference in Akure. Tony Batire, NTA News.
Another break at this point. Here will be back for the closing lap of the news.
The losers forget every moment that stole the show, because this is a brand new season on GoTV, and it's going to be bigger and better than any season before it, with over 7 leagues and top competitions plus a World Cup. Make sure you get the best seats in the house this new football season. Get a decoder, GoTenna plus 1 month GoTV Max for 6,900 naira only. Bigger season, greater football. GoTV, love it.
Our pastors, our imams, in every church, in every mosque, please realize that in the course of praying for peaceful and transparent elections, we all have duties beyond prayers. If we want a stable society before, during, and after the elections, what should you be saying to those that worship with you? All Sundays and all Fridays, you are saddled with the responsibility of bringing up good generations. It is therefore your duty to both man and God to ensure peace all the time, no matter about elections alone. People talk to people and people listen. Talk to your followers. Make them listen to ensure peaceful 2023 elections. This message from the National Orientation Agency.
Let's now have a bit of sports.
Nigeria defeated Gambia 3-0 at 25-21, 25-16 and 25-15 to record a second consecutive win at the ongoing 2022 Africa Under-21 Men's Nation Volleyball Championship in Tunisia. Nigeria's next game is against Tunisia on Wednesday. In football, third group games at the ongoing World Cup in Costa Rica begins on Wednesday, with Group A fixtures between World Football powerhouse Brazil and host Costa Rica, while Australia lock arms with Spain. In Group B, it will be Colombia versus New Zealand as Mexico takes on Germany. Nigeria's Group C encounter with Canada is scheduled for the 18th of August 2022. In grassroots football, 32 football academies and clubs participated in the third edition of Dominion Dr. DK Olukoya football competition. The competition was in under 13, 17, 19 and 23 categories for boys. In the under 17 final, Mountain Top beat Future Stars on penalties after the match ended 1-1 in regulation time.
Talent abounds every nook and crevice of this country. If only everyone can put in their little bits, Nigeria will not be what it is today.
In boxing, it was a 10th round of fierce battle between Nigeria's Fatai Nuruddin and Patrick Ayew of Ghana as the two countries rekindled their rivalry in the world of boxing at the 2022 International Featherweight Challenge. The Ghanaian was later declared the winner via unanimous decision of the officials.
We're supposed to build boxers that will become champions very soon.
Corporate bodies and government institutions to look into how to develop sports in this country. You have the talents, you have the boys, you have the girls that can make Nigeria proud.
There were other bouts in various categories to keep Nigeria boxers fit for international engagement. In another news, the 15th edition of West African Open Taekwondo Championship has ended in Lagos with emphasis on growing the sport from the grassroots.
Jude Igbinovia Jr. won gold in the kiddies female flyweight. Same day, Mohammed Ganiyat smiled home with the gold medal of the female heavyweight event, among other champions that cut across different categories.
With sports update, Olunde Gotola, NTA News.
And with sports done, we're done with the news tonight. Many thanks for watching. And here's a quick one. Join the League of Stars. Stand against rape and rapists. I'm Henry John. Have a good night.
NTA Tuesday Live, analytical, in-depth, educative and interactive on national issues accommodating all sides of opinions.
We as a people have understood that we have to fight corruption before it fights us back.
Poverty has a financial index, so it should be fought also with a financial weapon. Give it to the social investments program. It has been a very courageous battle.
Tuesday Live, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Join us. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The Digital Switchover project, which is commonly referred to as DSO, which entails television channels switching from analog to digital broadcasting. It's one of the biggest projects embarked upon by this administration. Branded as Free TV, offers its viewers about 60 digital channels, including sports, music, movies, and news. The federal government has licensed about 23 set-top box manufacturers. 7 of them have production, employing several thousands of people. We've made it now compulsory for all stations in Nigeria to only broadcast productions made in Nigeria for products which are produced in Nigeria.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
civil servant?
I'm a teacher by profession.
I trained as a nurse.
I could not even remember some of them, but by their approach, greeting, and respect,
I make beads. I liquid soap is I have stopped buying liquid soap from the market. I make it and I teach this young one how to do that. And when I do, it is not for any fee.
In most cases, I serve as consultant. Many people come to me inquiring how to go about doing the farming. I normally direct them on what to do.
Right now, I'm not into any paid job, as I said, but I'm happy doing what I'm doing.
Senior citizens over the years have shown that they are still capable of working. They have shown that retirement is only but a social construct, not a limitation. Senior citizens until the end carry around a wealth of knowledge that we can tap into. They have walked these journeys we now walk today. They have amassed all of these experiences so they can stand holding the torch so we do not stumble in the dark. Our senior citizens are national assets packed full with inestimable value. They should not be condemned to a life of obscurity, but one where they serve to illuminate our path. Promoting senior citizens for intergenerational workforce.
How are you? Welcome. I'm sorry. You know what you know? Let me read this one. You don't put that to me. Don't do I see you now. Actually, it's not when they come that you go do something for this thing that you go. Your shop, your restaurant is far from my house. I cannot be coming always. I am here now, right? Yes. Thank you. You are beautiful. Hey, what's the name of your begin? Okay, it's not my begin, but you are begin. So, who should come with them? My husband. I didn't get it. He's 6 months pregnant. You were supposed to school. When your mates they think about their future. Bana so makaranta. Wallahi. Two people they go makaranta to go buy miji. Allah don't bless me with my miji. Bana so makaranta.
You see, you know, I be that now. I tell you now, my wife is. See, they say you catch them young. So now I catch this one my own. Wallahi, pa.
Man, you say.
You want to know?
Don't catch her, no.
But that one you understand. Oh, no, very good.
You catch her, no. Destroy her body. The thing right in my mouth. If I open and talk to you, that's where you go happen. You, I'm not getting anything to say to you. You know why? Because you still where you done will happen. You did your majority. Now your parents like them like me. They deserve a good slap. What thing? Your mate, left school, your papa and my mama, I don't know the thing where they take the head. The brain where they take the head, what they say? Now, grandpapa, your grandpapa, that is the man too. What did you do? Level, no level. Life, no balance. Megida, why did the money pay this woman like this?
I don't know what you want to know. She just get busybody. They stop. Chop your food. Don't mind her, Joe.
Hey, Joe, because somebody come apart this empty continent. Or did they tell me now come back? Now that time you go back. I don't know your work once that start to survive.
Thank you.
I don't record that. I need to know all of you stuff.
What is happening?
Just maybe that weather stuff.
Around here.
Mommy, it's that girl. Nothing like that. No. This. What do you do? What does smell like this? You know what you got to do? They smell like thanks. I don't want to come back, but I don't get anybody to send. I don't know. She never answered the question. The last time I see, you said, yes, you don't want your picking. I don't but it became there. Smash. Sorry, you smell like this. I told her, maybe, who said, who said that you're coming out? You don't be here to all. Maybe I can see it. Smash. Come on, here, let me understand.
VBF stands for Vesicle Vaginal Fistula.
Vesicle Vaginal Fistula. Which thing call me down like this? That will be passive. Waiting happen, go.
Okay, let me explain. VBF is an abnormal opening between the bladder and the vagina that results in continuous and unremitting urinary incontinence.
But you know what you said very well. You see, what it actually means is that the person involved will just be passing urine without control. Just like that. That's very bad. No, I don't know how you know.
You know the things can cause it, but in our case, I think it's early birth. Sorry about that. Young age. I said it is actually full.
I said it. This guy is very small. Nobody they say to me.
You don't know anything about why small. Yes, you don't everything. Too small. If you do much, you never go finish. Hey, Marty, share the figure.
Yes, it's
Surgery. Hey, surgery. Yeah. What do you do?
Well, everybody don't abandon me. They don't go leave me. They said it's wasted. They don't waste any money on top of my head. That's how a lot of them like this will get in the hospital. They just abandon them. Nobody to care for them. They have to care for themselves.
For their child. It's not good at all. They put themselves in this condition. So why should they be made to face it alone? Should I be doctor? Now you like this. What we call it? I'll work for your mates too. Then they think about the future. What do you tell me? You said you don't want to. So now the one for us, I still got to. You have seen that? But listen to me. I know that I call it. Now me, I am looking at back. The thing I want to do now is walk on the back. I want to pick up. This one is your. That can't be trying. You go watch it. And I didn't say God to go. This one joy. It's your. Hey, how this going small girl now? Eh? She go still fit though. I mean, you know, like when you get phone, you know, say phone supposed to accept SIM. This one go be accept SIM, so. Eh? I don't. I know let you. Carla, go inside the other one. Wait there behind me. Yeah. Go give her. Sorry.
You know that those question is not entirely relevant. She's still a young girl.
Thank you. You see, this is the first time since we have known each other in recent time that you have actually concocted and agreed with me. Small girl. Small girl.
It's scary, isn't it? Putting yourself out there, ignoring the voices telling you can't. Will you step aside, or will you fall for it? After all, what's the worst that could happen? So, keep trying, don't stop. Believe in yourself and go for it. Our data, available in many variants to nourish you every step of the way.
The power, the performance, concentrated power, concentrated performance, the partnership of concentrated power. So Clean, the official regional partner of Paris Saint-Germain.
Looking fresh for your date? Get even fresher with Close Up. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. It cleans deeply, fights 99% of bacteria, and cools intensely, keeping you protected and fresh.
Protected and fresh. Picture.
Still fresh, still protected.
Feeling cool and protected.
All day confidence to get close. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. When times are tough, we know that as a mother, one thing you should never compromise on is your family's oral health, because they deserve the best. Oral-B all-round protection. It's great value. It protects your mouth from harmful bacteria and also protects you against tooth holes and gum problems which can lead to tooth loss. It strengthens your family's teeth and gives them all-round protection. So remember, protect their future. Oral-B for healthier, stronger teeth in just 1 week.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Supervisor. I don't like if I come here. I will be I have no customers. My job. No. What are you?
We have rice,
assorted. You have my favorite.
Favorite.
No problem.
Special.
Give me butter. Let me arrange myself.
Orange is fine. Orange. You love.
Okay. That is only the butter.
Thank you. Salaam alaikum. Thank you. I define yam odin.
Go to the toilet.
No problem, sir.
Can't you see that the yam didn't have one?
Thank you.
Of course.
My name is Mama Halima. Halima will be some white.
Mama.
Saki, Yan, Otumba. See Halima Mama. Ọmọ ọjọ́ mi là ẹsẹ̀ ń tí làbà. Bàbá mi ẹ̀ welcome o. Welcome. Ẹ̀rọ náà ní sẹ́ǹpẹ̀. Please. Mama, I think Halima don't tell you everything, ko? Yes. Mama, pity me, pa. That girl, Halima, don't disgrace me.
Is there anything Halima did that we did not know?
Halima disgraced you. I think she's strong. She's not strong at all. Peter and Halima age. I don't want 2 children. And I face door, they go farm, but they go market. Even her father, he dey vex. That's why I don't follow me come.
Madam, you are the one who is a disgrace. Your little daughter, who you get away in any marriage, is going through this kind of problem. I am sitting down. You are happy.
For my culture, big girl don't see her first period. That second period, now for her gida.
What if the gida?
Her husband house, and she not come home.
Yeah. Follow me. Madam, you are evil. You are evil. People should see you are running away from me. For being miles away. Because if you can abandon your own daughter in this situation, you can do worse. In fact, this woman, you don't deserve to be a mother.
But then, you don't even need to put la 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 pa. Without that, she is a very, very wicked woman. No woman does not deserve to be a mother. Mama, in fact, what did you even say your husband is saying about this?
For my people, if you don't marry the girl, leave the husband. And the husband go talk everything for her head. My husband no go talk anything.
Because he paid 2 million naira on top her head.
I just girl.
Just feel.
Let me bring you back. This situation that is in us. What are you planning to do?
I don't know how to so. And she see am, she carry am.
Madam,
You should know. Are you carrying this? I leave my girl go belly like this. I mean, that's your problem.
Which kind of question be that?
What is your answer to that? He's right now. He's right, madam, because you're not something like a mother.
She's not even something like an enemy. Enemy will have no compassion.
So you know feel good mouth. No. Let me ask you one question. You know, this Anila husband, if you can't abandon Alima, what will happen?
As she see the problem, she will carry him.
Okay, custom. Yeah. See, I mean, she carry him from the mother of a mother. What is this?
She is not even by you. She is just feeling good in their place. We don't prefer to start on stage here.
No, this thing make you call me come for this place.
No.
For sure. I get many things I dey do before you call me. If you like that, you suppose to carry am, do everything for am.
All I do is win. I wake up, I win. I close my eyes, and I win.
We got a match, girlfriend.
Keep up on me, come on. Keep winning till the world stops spinning. Independent women, come on, now let's get it. I'ma keep winning till the world stops.
Wow, you look great. Did you just come from the salon? Darling Superstar, great that takes salon fresh no matter what.
Information passed down for generation.
It's scary, isn't it? Putting yourself out there, ignoring the voices telling you you can't. Will you step aside, or will you go for it? After all, what's the worst that could happen? So, keep trying, don't stop. Believe in yourself and go for it. Paladana, available in many variants to nourish you every step of the way.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International. Your window to the world.
As I walk like this, Alima, you will be my husband. I have many wives.
Auntie Angel, please. I have a question.
Go on.
I've been thinking, can boys also have this VVL thing? Mommy.
Hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTA. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International. Your window to the world.
The holidays are here, a period both students and parents look forward to with all the fun-packed activities. But it sure has its challenges as well, and they can sometimes be very exhausting, making it a daring activity. However, there are better ways to engage the holiday makers, keeping them positively busy while still bonding with them. True. Get all the tips on Wednesday, the 17th August 2022, only on Conversations. No wasted moments with our children. Let's talk.
This week on Executive Discuss.
You were a young officer during the war in Nigeria, and in 1969, you took a bullet to the right side of your chest. You had an opportunity for it to be removed, but you refused. And I don't know if you still wear that shrapnel till today.
The shrapnel.
Hello and welcome. I am Cyril Stober. Tonight, Tuesday Live will focus on the role of the media in national security. Well, it might just seem to be an internal affair, an area that's strategic and essential to every part of our national life. From pre-independence to post-independence, the media remains indispensable and a catalyst for accession to self-rule. Now, many decades after, through military dispensations, and to the worst side of more than 60 years of the existence of Nigeria as a sovereign nation, the commitment of the media has shown patriotism and allegiance to the Nigerian state. But in recent times, these feats achieved by members of the fourth estate of the realm have come under threat, as some sections of the media have delved into issues inimical to national cohesion and capable of influencing negative tendencies, including hate, ethnic profiling, religious bigotry, and sensationalism. Tonight, NTA Tuesday Live brings together guests from the academia, media experts, practitioners, as well as Nigerians on how to get out of this situation. But just before we go into our discussion, let's get to see this report by correspondent Adebola Brookslyn.
The security of every nation, no doubt, is vital for the survival and growth of its political, social, and economic system. As a source of information for any society regarding any issue, people rely and even trust what is presented to them by the media. As the fourth estate and watchdog of the society, it plays crucial role in national development. The media observe events in the society, select specific ones, and present or interpret them the way they want the audience to understand them.
One of the great worries should be, for us, what harm is done to public information. I think that the time may come, if nothing is done, when nothing will be believed or nothing will be believable.
In performing this function, false and wrong information dissemination have seen the world marked by great turmoil, fears, uncertainties, and ever-changing nature of relationship among states, as well as intra-state conflicts.
Instead of us to lead calm and rational discourse on the existential challenges we face with a view to promoting actionable solutions, we have succumbed to hysteria and the next exciting clickbait headline.
In reporting the security sector and performing the watchdog function, journalists sometimes encounter obstacles and challenges such as restriction of access to information despite the Freedom of Information Act in the country.
To get some information, especially from the government offices, are usually hard. Sometimes you go, you are not acknowledged. Sometimes they treat you in a way as if what you are coming for is not important.
The National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, is the organization saddled with the responsibility of monitoring media activities for harmful emission, interference, and illegal broadcasting.
On Section 5 of the Code and Section 1, which covers crisis, emergencies, and disasters, it says what is basic then is basic timely information at times like this. If you know that you divulge too much of the details, it will affect the investigation that is going on or affect the security procedure of the people who are charged with that responsibility. Then douse it.
The advent of the social media in the past decade, however, has revolutionized communication, overshadowing the traditional ways of communication, which has become a tool in the hand of those that can be regarded as enemies of the state.
What concerns the NBC is the content that is on this platform. The power of the NBC empowers us to do that now. But this is an evolving technology. It is developing as the regulator is also looking at ways to check it properly.
The government, in conjunction with media practitioners, needs to evolve and adopt strategies that strengthen and safeguard the nation online and offline platforms in line with the nation's core values and security without trampling on individual liberty and privacy. One of the takeaways is that journalists will be remembered as the frontliners, especially in this digital age where the internet never forgets and records are kept for posterity. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
All right, that report sets the tone for tonight's discussion. We'd like to introduce our guests. Let me welcome General Ibrahim Malgui Haruna, the former Federal Commissioner for Information and Culture. He joins us in Abuja here. Right. Okay, you're right there. Thanks for being with us tonight, General. Okay, let me also introduce Professor Umaru Pate is Vice Chancellor, Federal University, Kashiri, Gombe State. He's a professor of media and society. Thanks for being here, Prof.
Thank you, Cyril, and good evening, Nigeria.
All right. We're also joined tonight by Teresa Tekinas, social media expert. Teresa, good to see you. Also welcome to this program Professor Layo Shaw, a former Dean School of Communications, Lagos State University. Prof, good to have you join us tonight. All right. Every Tuesday at the appropriate time, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. We'll refresh your memory on the procedure when that time comes. But for now, let's begin to look at the role of the media and national security. But first, to put this into perspective, let's come to General IBM Haruna. That is more known. He was a former Federal Commissioner for Information, and he is a lawyer. Is there a basis for comparison between media practitioners of the early days and those of today? Okay, so we're having connection problems with that. Let me put the same question to Professor Pate, looking at the early days media practitioners and those of today. Is there any basis to compare?
Well, thank you very much, Cyril. You see, if you are talking about comparison, you have to look at the complexities as well as the dynamics of each of the individual moments in the history of Nigeria. The role of media continuously has been changing depending on circumstances and the different era in the country. Let's start from the independence period. If you read through the literature, you'll realize that a lot of people argue that the media was partly responsible for the collapse of the First Republic due to the negative actions of a lot of our media organizations and individuals as at the time. These things are contestable depending on the side that you decide to be. But certainly, if you go through the literature, you could see clear evidences of some of the negative roles. But this is not to suggest in any way that the media did not significantly contribute to achieving the independence of Nigeria as well as the consolidation of independence. Now, when the Civil War came, the media now came together to support the war effort of the government as at that time. If you go through again through the literature, you could see some skirmishes that happened, not so much, but on few occasions where the government complained about the behavior of certain media organizations. Then after the Civil War, it was the period of rehabilitation, reconstruction, and trying to promote the unity of the country. Again, the media played very significant contribution up to a point when it started also questioning the continued remaining of the military government in power until when the Murtala Obasanjo government came. Also, they had their own early moon period, also has some few problems. During the Shagari era, it was also rough. And again, the literature is very, very clear, and some people raise argument that the media was also significantly contributory to the collapse of the Second Republic. Again, like I've said, it could be contested too, but evidences abound on what some of the media organizations did in helping to see to the decline of the Second Republic. Then during the Babangida period, during the first Buhari period, when it came, of course, all of us, so many of us could remember the rough times also with Decree 4 and several other activities. And if you could remember, the president on day one said he was going to tamper with press freedom. And that defined the relationship.
Okay. That was General Buhari in his
yes, as at that time, and that defined the relationship between him and between that particular government and the media. But in all of these things, you need to understand one thing. You need to understand the socio-economic environment of the different period. For example, when the first Buhari government came, the economy was in decline. Things were really tough. So they came up with things like war against indiscipline and several other tough measures, which also affected the media indirectly. When Babangida came, it started with some kind of honeymoon relationship and ended up also on a very tough and maybe bitter note, with a lot of decrees coming from government and some arrests here and there. So if you generally take a look at the relationship of the media and governments in Nigeria, it has been mixed, and all sorts of accusations and counter-accusations. And this is not only that of the media, but several other institutions could also have also been indicted in some of these things that we have been experiencing. But importantly, you cannot divorce the behavior and performance of the media from the performance of the economy as well as the politics of each of these moments. If it were to be a military government, you will see the kind of approach. In a civilian setting, you could also see, and whenever things became a bit tough, maybe post-coup periods, or when the economy is getting a bit down, or when politicians became a bit jittery, you could see them also becoming tough on the media, like what we are experiencing now. The economy is really tough and people are preparing for elections. Then likely you may also have some fallout on the behavior and conduct of the media. I will come back to some other aspects of the media and why we are having some of these changes like it is now later.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go over to Teresa Tekena and say, look, it's been said that the media is always the whipping boy. When anything goes wrong, well, this fourth estate of the realm takes the brunt. Do you agree with that?
No, I can't hear anything.
Right, okay. Let me put it to you again. The media is seen as the whipping boy when things go wrong. And here we are. We say, look, we're the fourth estate of the realm. Yet politicians, in fact, even the military when they were in power, would always blame the media for even their own shortcomings.
Can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't get the question. I think this.
We're having challenges with coming to you. You still cannot hear at this time. Okay, let me put it this other way. We're hoping this time the connections will be right. The media has always come under sharp criticism by various governments across board, be it military or civilian, especially in Nigeria's history. Now, what would you say is responsible for this? Because many times it seems that even when administrations have shot themselves in the foot, they turn around and blame it on the media.
It happens, especially in our current politics now, where I think there was a recent documentary that was shown where bandits were interviewed and all of that, and there was sharp reactions from people in the media and also from the government. I believe that the role of media in nation building is very, very crucial. So in as much as politicians tend to blame media for some of these lapses, the media also have to be responsible in the way they report the news. And for me, who is always active on social media, apart from, you know, the regular journalists and editors and stories we see on main media platforms, social media influencers, bloggers and all of that, those are not news that are regulated, unlike in the mainstream media where you have editors who are like gatekeepers and stories that are published have gone through a process. For the social media platforms, there is no regulation. Most of the time regulation is poor, so there tends to be there are news that come out which are not really for national progress or national interest. So yeah, politicians tend to blame media. Sometimes it's a way to shy away from taking responsibility, but sometimes as well it's also a call to media, to people in the media industry, to be able to wake up and do the right thing and report stories that are for national interest.
Let's hope that Professor Lyosho can hear me clearly at this point in time, and because we're going to put the same issues to them, the constant conflict between administrations and the media. Professor Prati talked about an initial romance with the military administration of General Babangida. This didn't really last, and as he put it to us, a number of tough decrees came out. Now, it hasn't been different all through Nigeria's history. There is a romance. The media goes out and does reports when there's a change of administration, and it lasts just about a year, and then the media is blamed for all the things that are going wrong. What do you say to that? Okay, tonight is a night of challenges with the connections and all that. But let me introduce at this point, we've just been joined by Chris Isiguzo, who is the National President of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ. Chris, good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewer. It's my pleasure to be here.
Right. Good that you're here. You're the boss man with the journalists, with the NUJ. And so what are your thoughts about practitioners in the past and now? There's going to be so much for you to talk about. Any basis for comparing how this profession was practiced in the past and now, and why does it always seem that the media ends up as a whipping boy?
Well, once more, thank you, and good evening, Prof.
Good evening,
and the rest of the guests that you have. Well, one thing you must know is that presently, the media has got array of challenges. Chief among them is the pressure that the social media, the new media, has brought to the fray. And that becomes a very big issue. But before I talk about that in detail, you were talking about the issue of doing a comparative analysis, so to speak, between the practice in the past and now, whether there are changes and why the media somewhat has become the whipping boy, so to speak, because everybody looks up to the media. When you have this kind of scenario where everybody now looks up to the media, it points to one fact, that other segments of the society obviously have caved in. And the implication now is that the people now have reposed their overwhelming confidence in the media. Not just the people, both the government and the governed. The government wants things done its own way. The governed also look up to the media to represent them. Of course, the Constitution has made it very clear in Section 22, 1, where it reposed the responsibility of holding government accountable in the media. That means no matter how you look at it, for instance, in a democracy, the media is the middleman that brings information from government, takes to the people, brings to the from the people, takes to the government. So either way, they look up to the media. And when it seems like the government is not properly represented in the media, the attack comes to the media. When it does appear that the people are not effectively represented, their opinions, their general well-being and aspirations, their desires are not appreciably conveyed to those in government by the media, the media becomes the center of the attack. So you can now see that either way, the media is there. Remove the media, there will be blackouts. There will be no information. There is the trilogy functions of the media. The responsibility of informing the people, the responsibility of educating the people. Informing the people is just like giving information. Educating the people is to moderate what the people see, what it should look like, educate them, guide them. It's the media that must play that role of guiding the people, of educating the people. And when you come to this point when it appears that there is problem in the system, there is fear, there is somewhat anarchy, so to speak, there is just crisis, then the media also has a responsibility of dousing the tension. And that is where the entertainment aspect comes in. So you can see that the media is involved all around. Now, before and now, the media professionals that we had in the past were more professional. They were not driven by parochial sentiments. They were not driven by pecuniary interests. They were not driven by mercantile considerations. They were more nationalistic. They were looking at the nation. They were more patriotic. They were looking at what will put the nation as one. They were not more concerned by political, pandering, unlike what we have now. Because the media is now faced with an array of challenges. You have the economic challenge, you have the ownership challenge, you have the data challenge, you have, there are many, then you are trying to weather through the storm. And while trying to do this, you also have a lot of pandering to do. And substantially, there is now a sharp demarcation between the two divides.
All right, we'll explore these issues further, but we do have a number of reports, and we'll take this one that is coming from Lagos.
The role of the media as reflected in Section 22 of the 1999 Constitution as amended is to police the fundamental objectives and direct principles of state policies as well as citizens' fundamental rights. As the fourth estate of the realm, the media aligns with the three arms of government and keep watch over their actions and inactions on behalf of the public. In carrying out these duties, the peace and stability of the nation stands in focus.
The media was in the lead in the search for democracy for Nigeria, and the media has not rested on our horse. We are still struggling to ensure that this democracy comes to stay permanently.
Information technology has opened the world's window to everyone. Even the media is not left behind, as it has evolved into the new media. This evolution has brought information closer to the audience. As it breaks, they receive. Just as this highlights one of the elements of news, promptness. It has also given room for fake news and sensational headlines, which can go viral just at the click of a button. This is a cankerworm the world is waging war against.
If you are going to tell a story that we know is extremely bad in the sight of people, there is a way we are going to look at it. We want to look at the other aspects of developments that are being done to assuage the feelings or to arrest the situation appropriately.
The hills are here with us in our society, in the sense that we now have a situation whereby it is the negative thing that now dominates the media. I think as media practitioners, we must sit down, think over these things.
The role of the media as an agenda setter is critical, as information disseminated to the public can make or mar a nation. In view of this, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, Lagos State Chapter, says it has zero tolerance to fake news and its peddlers.
And the first step we have taken at the national level and both at the state council level, is to do verification. Verification leads to obtainance of ID card, press ID card, which is tenable all over the world.
We should also showcase our rich cultural heritage, you understand, as Nigerians. You know, there are so many things we can do, you understand, in terms of education, in terms of culture, in terms of sports, you understand, that would, you understand, galvanize the interest of our, rather than begin to churn out negative publicity.
More important than ever, key players say the nation is at a critical moment of decision-making, and the media must maintain their role as amplifiers and facilitators of spreading messages that discourage violence, instability, and appeal for peaceful coexistence. In Lagos, Kende Adebisi.
All right, back to the studios now. Let's now get Professor Lai Osho. Hopefully, Prof, you can hear me at this time, and I'm also hoping that you would have listened to the contributions made by Teresa Tekena and, of course, the president of the NUJ, Chris Isiguzo. Let's hear your thoughts.
The NUJ national president that before independence or immediately after independence, the Nigerian media were very patriotic, and that, you know, I don't think that is correct from research, from the literature. The Nigerian press, well, during the colonial era, we had one common purpose: to send the British away. So all of them were united. But from that time, we know there have been cases of divisions within the media industry, you know, and this was amplified immediately after independence, based on the kind of factional politics, the kind of politics that the people were playing then. You know, it was the time of the Action Group for the West, the NCNC for the East, the NPC for the North, and all these three major political parties had newspapers, radio stations, and so on that they were using to propagate their own ideas. So the basic problem of the Nigerian media is that the Nigerian ruling elite, you know, is not united, and the media tend to follow that as instruments, you know, of waging political warfare by these various factions of the Nigerian elite, and that has been the trend historically up to now. So we need to, you know, establish that fact that the main problem of the Nigerian media is not just of the individual journalists or editors. It's the problem of the Nigerian ruling elite, the Nigerian ruling class, that are not united. Look at any issue in this country, you cannot get any national consensus. You find some people will be pulling to the right, some other people will be pulling to the left, and the media tend to give, you know, expression to this kind of divisions, you know, the polarization that we have in the Nigerian political system, and that is our major problem. If the Nigerian elite can come together, have certain basic agreement on certain national issues, you will find out that the Nigerian media will likely toe the line. So we need to, you know, interrogate the character of the Nigerian ruling class. These kind of people that are playing ethnic politics, religious politics, regional politics, and therefore they try to recruit the media in terms of ownership, in terms of using economic resources. You know, if you don't toe a line, we don't give you advert. So these are kind of issues that we need to interrogate. Then, of course, you know, when it comes to the journalists themselves, you must understand that Nigerian journalists are also Nigerians. The kind of narratives, the kind of myths that we were born into, that we grew into, also influence the kind of stories or the way we look at issues, you know, as journalists. So these are critical issues, and I think Professor Patti said it. We need to locate our problem within the context, the socio-political context of Nigeria. We can't take the media away. The American media works according to the culture, the sociology, the politics of the American society. The British media, the same thing. So you cannot say Nigeria coming from heaven. is situated within the Nigerian political system and is behaving according to that political system. You know, we have all this kind of religious thing. You now find politicians visiting churches, felicitating with clerics all over the place. Why? As if our politics is based on religion. You know, people talking about, you know, the so part of the country must produce the president, and then the media is giving expression to this kind of divisions and polarization within the society. I think that's where our problem is. When we talk about national stability, the Nigerian elite, they really believe in national stability. I think about a week or so ago, Babangida said, Nigeria is not yet a nation. We don't have Nigerians. And, you know, so these are issues that we really need to interrogate. How do we make sure that we have Nigerians who believe in Nigeria and are ready to work as Nigerians? Then we can start talking about the kind of the new media that we need that will reflect that kind of new Nigeria that we are trying to build. But for now, if we continue as we are going, we will have the kind of media that we have, that is, you know, you have, they call it Ubati Press, Arewa Press, Indigo Press, Resource Control Press, and that is the kind of divisions that we have all over the country. So, you know, don't let us blame the messenger. Why would we need those who actually create the message that the messenger is, you know, putting across. Those who create the messages are those that we should really focus our attention on.
Thank you so much, Prof. I understand we have General IBM Haruna back with us at this time, and we had opened the program asking to know his opinion on what the practice has been in the past, and whether practitioners in the past did a lot better than today's practitioners are doing. But again, we're also hoping that the General has heard the contributions of all the other participants. So now let's listen to General IBM Haruna and his thoughts on this matter.
My reflection and thoughts on this matter has to start with, first of all, there is a need to distinguish the media per se as an instrument of the new communication and information technology revolution. Distinguish that from the intent and content, the content of the practitioners, the journalists. Then thirdly, we have to position this in a critical examination as to what role they play socially, politically, economically, and also in the realms of security. I think it must be admitted that the communication and information revolution and technology, which has brought about the internet, has made the media practitioners' practice needing critical examination, as opposed to the free-for-all practice that is shown in the various internet information provided, the systems being provided by those systems. The crack of the matter is that in it there is free for all, but there is need for journalism per se to reflect and bring out from this media the critical role they have to play for society. And in doing this, I think that the code and discipline for journalists must be very exact and put into use by implementing them, because they are quite different from expressing opinions through the media as those who are not registered or known as practitioners. It's free for all in the media. But examining the role of the practitioners, the journalists, they have to be very critical as to what role they are playing or they are supposed to play. Because in our domestic arrangement, they play a role in shaping policy, in advancing opinions of the people, in implementation of policy, or the creation of the environment in which politics, economy, and social milieu in which society has to breathe and grow. And I think that in the past, the politicians in the immediate post-colonial time did not have the facilities they now have, and they didn't have the connection with which they now have with the people and politicians. They did not have the wherewithals to carry the expressions or opinions of the generality of the people, because the environment did not provide it. If you look at Nigeria, for example, pre-independence and post-independence, there were few newspapers, and those newspapers concentrated their practice in particular areas, like in Lagos and the Western region. It took time after independence for the other regions to develop their media, to carry information, to influence policy, to advance the use of available instruments like newspapers and subsequently television. Before that, radio method went to very few urban settlements. Now we have the revolution of the technology and the advancement of means and instruments for reaching people instantly, in fact. And I think what is very important for the role the journalists play is very critical, because they can create disharmony, they can create understanding, they can create better literacy if they play their role well. If they don't, they can lead to anarchy and destruction. As Idi Amin had to say, that you can have your freedom of expression under constitutional democracies. This is possible. But under the kinds of governments we had after independence, most of which were dictatorial, you cannot guarantee what follows your expression of freedom of expression or other human rights. I think in Nigeria, in this particular time we are in, pre-election, the journalists, reporters, and the media has to be practiced with great responsibility, because they can lead to serious reverses on the gains of democracy or the gains of development and growth. And also, they can dim the prospect of clear vision as to where economic development and economic progress should go. They have to learn and they have to relate our domestic situation to our domestic needs. First and foremost, they must practice to secure the peace and security and well-being of Nigerians. I think that there is a great deal of expectation from the media journalist practitioners and the media that they are using. we have to look.
At this point, we'll take another of our reports and then we'll come back to the studio for more on the role of the media. This next report is coming in from Kaduna.
The regulation of media organizations opens space for private participation in broadcasting business. The importance of both print and broadcast media is designed to create awareness among citizenry. The deregulation takes into cognizance of infractions among operators which necessitated the establishment of National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) and the Nigerian Press Council as watchdogs. Despite these measures, some media outfits run foul of the laid-down procedures.
Instead of uniting people, a lot of media houses owned by individuals and so on use it as a tool to disunite people, bring all sorts of misunderstanding within the community.
The conventional media, radio and TV, they also have their own problem because most, especially the private ones, they are controlled by individuals. So sometimes in an attempt to protect their own interests, they end up offending the interests of others.
This development raised serious concerns among critical stakeholders who are pushing for more stiffer penalties on airing media organizations.
And where a person is arrested for presenting fake news, he should be punished, and the punishment should be publicized so that people who might have that kind of intention would be informed that yes, the government is there, and yes, the government is active, and yes, the government is taking action on these issues.
And the mass media has a great role to make sure it downs the tension, to nip everything in the bud, to ensure that whatever people will read is something that will bring them together.
Placing national interests above other considerations is what is expected of these media outfits because business of information dissemination is beyond economic consideration. Rather, they should approach issues from a patriotic point of view.
All right, that report from Kaduna. Professor Patti. Yes. What's the character that we talk about here when we say the character of the media?
Thank you very much, Cyril. I've heard the comments of our panelists. And you see, the Nigerian media has always reflected the behavior of the Nigerian state as well as the Nigerian nation. In fact, like somebody said, the aspirations, the fears, the concerns, as well as the interests of a typical Nigerian is almost always captured in the different pages of the Nigerian press. And just like the divisions that exist in Nigerian political elite of North, South, religion, all of that, you see the same thing also replaying in the content and character of the Nigerian media. Like what Professor Lai Osho said, it has always been either on this side or on the other side. Sometimes for you to have a complete understanding of an issue in Nigeria, you have to read 3 or 4 different newspapers. And sometimes just by looking at the mere byline of a particular report, you could conclude what the story may look like. Now, you may ask, why have we been like that? Well, it's natural. People establish media organizations for specific interests. These interests could be explicit or they could be implicit. But these differences have always been with us as a set of people that we are. There's nothing wrong with that. The only thing is we do not have specifically defined national objective that all of us are united on. In the past, many of us thought the unity of Nigeria was sacrosanct and that everyone was working toward that. But as it is today, you could see it is no longer so. Now you will ask why. You see, things have continued to change. The dynamics have been changing. One, because of technology. Technology has made it so simple today for information to be democratized and access to be simplified, unlike it used to be in the past. Now it is no longer a monopoly of a few elites or just some specific media organization to control the flow of information. Everybody is in it today. And because everybody is in it, it has become easy. And the conventional media is, and what are some of these consequences? Fake news, hate speech, and distribution of lies all over the place. And these are injurious to what you could describe as national unity and national integration. And these are just aspects that disrupt national integration. There are other aspects. Poverty is the greatest enemy to national integration. The behavior of the elites is the second most dangerous element that defeats or affects our national integration. And you could see it all over the place. Then you have some other things. When somebody is poor, when somebody is excruciatingly and devastatingly poor, he becomes an easy victim for manipulation by any mischief maker. And here you have the instruments of communication through the social media easily available. And then you have the dangerous combination of poverty, of availability of weapons of destruction through communication, and then the weaponization of the system itself, and a very dangerous elite that does not have a defined goal for uniting the nation itself. So what do you have? Instability.
And now that takes us to the now media, and comments have been made on that. But let's go to the social media expert, Teresa Tekeda. And that is what is taking over. You heard Professor Pate say it. Everyone now is a producer of news. All you need is a smartphone.
Every day, because we have, especially for young people, you have the demography of young people on social media, and that's where we voice, that's where we vent, that's where we contribute to, anything that's happening in society. So it's in as much as young people are on social media, we also have the older people who use WhatsApp, who use Facebook, and all of these. And these are just avenues where we can as well contribute our own quota. For me, I like to have conversations that I value, conversations, and I also use my social media platform to gauge responses to government policies and all of that. But you also have young people who use social media for entertainment purposes. We have content creators. We have lots of young people who have actually made it in life through using their social media platforms. And all these are also a way of, showcasing Africa, showcasing our country to the world. But you also have, young people who are using social media, to run a lot of fake news, a lot of propaganda and all of that. But I believe that if we have more people, more journalists, if we have more people who can come to social media, who can say, no, this is the right information, who can, and then if we can as well have these platforms have regulated policies, and and that's the way government can as well come in. But I believe that if social media is regulated, some people argue that it could take away free speech and all of that, but it's a two-way thing. At the end of the day, there's a way the government can do it, and there's a way we individuals can use social media. But I believe that social media has been able, is a blessing. It's a blessing. It has been able to, give us the reach, and now we have more rural areas where there are social media users in rural areas as well. So I believe that at the end of the day, fine, in as much as we can argue that there's a lot of fake news on social media and a lot of things happening there, it's still for national good.
Today, about the toughest challenge the Nigerian state has is insecurity. And first, you tend to think that you need to be in a secure environment before the other things can follow. And Nigeria has been grappling with this. At some point in time, some would say, is it any better? Is it getting worse? But then, with a situation like this at hand, and the challenge of the media, what would you say the Nigerian media has demonstrated in handling and tackling the situation?
Well, one of your panelists, while making contribution, made reference to what he described as responsible journalism. That is reporting with responsibility. Yes, I agree with you with the enormity of the security challenge plaguing the nation. It's there. There is hardly any place that is that one can sleep with two eyes closed. It's a big challenge, and of course, it it also comes to the table of the media, because the media can inflame it, so to speak. The media can communicate fear in the people the way it reports. The media can also tone down the situation, so that's the truth. But looking at so far what we've done, I think we've done appreciably well.
When you speak about escalating or toning down, where is the matter of facts and factual reporting in this? How do you report an explosion? How do you report a terrorist attack in which scores of people are killed without escalating the situation? Or how do you tone down a situation like that?
Well, like I said, when you report with responsibility, you must bear in mind that there is a kind of report you're going to give out, and the whole place will be on fire. That's the truth. You must bear in mind that there has to be a country for you to practice your trade as a journalist. If there is no country, I wonder where you will be operating from. So you must have that nationalistic mindset while you ply your trade as a journalist. And that's why I've always stressed on development journalism. Yes, most of the people that spoke earlier on said, including Prof, our erudite professor, said that the journalism we have, of course, tries to pander to what the society brings to the table. Yes, but there is also that agenda setting role of the media. Because if we continue to pander to the capricious whims of the political elites, as they've been described, we'll continue to pander to what the politicians bring to the table. There is no way we are going to be able to continue to promote the unity of the country.
Okay. Let me quickly go to Professor Layosho. And I'd like to paint a scenario here, and Prof. The right to know, factual reporting. Here is my example. Road XYZ leads to a major city. For 2 hours, terrorists hold travelers along that road XYZ hostage. They take some of them away, they kill some. How do you report that? How do you tone down that? The people who listen to you want to go on that road. How do you tell them it is safe to go? How do you say it is not safe to go without, creating panic or without giving them false hope?
I think the problem is information management, public information management, which to me, those managing public information in this country they are not really doing well. You have to be a little bit ahead of the journalist in releasing such information. The scenario you have painted, the spokesperson of the security agencies of the government must be ready to give background briefing to the journalist almost immediately after the event, to prepare them for it. You can't say don't report such an event. The event will be reported in one way or the other. Maybe just as the lady here has said, with the social media, you cannot hide anywhere anymore. So the information manager must be ahead, prepare the journalist in terms of providing the interpretative framework for reporting such an event. But we leave the thing to the journalist, so the journalist is on his own. There is no briefing, there is no background information, and therefore they report what they get. But if we have proper information management, not killing the story, not saying the story should not be reported, but trying to provide some guidelines on how to report such an event from the the information manager themselves, then we will have some kind of toning down of the story. So, but what we get here is that you find security people or people from the Minister of Information saying, don't report the story. That is not information management. That is censorship. In these days, you cannot censor the media anymore, but people can still manage information from a very honest perspective. Sometimes something happens, you may not need to give figures. Oh, 20 people killed, 100 people killed. That may be frightening, but that story can still be reported to give people a sense of what had happened, and then later you try to build, maybe through solution journalism, try to now fill in the gaps here and there so that people can have at least some kind of respite. There's no fear that you don't necessarily raise too much hope, where there is none, but there is some kind of middle of the road kind of thing. But it takes a lot of expertise in information management to do this. It's not, it's not killing the story, so to say. So I think we need to, to get that people in government, people in the security agencies must, up their games in terms of managing the media, very well. We need people who have some, very strong background in public relations to be in charge of government information at this period, in that we are in now. Election is coming. There will be a lot of contestation. The level of insecurity seems to be increasing, and I think we need people who can manage information properly without denying the existence of some of the challenges that we have now.
All right, we'll take a short break here. When we return, there'll be more on the role of the media, and hopefully our phone lines will be open and you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly.
Is affected by the circulation of illicit small arms and light weapons in our communities. Our beloved ones, breadwinners, farmlands and livelihoods are lost. Our homes are lost. Even young children are not left out. These weapons cause pains and sufferings, devastating our societies. It is our collective duty as every Nigerian stakeholder, religious or community leaders, traditional rulers or civil societies, and at every level of governance to work with security agencies to stop the proliferation of illicit arms. We must shun the trafficking or possession of illicit arms. We must reject any inducement to help in its transportation. We must report all suspected individuals or groups involved in the smuggling or stockpiling of small arms and light weapons or illicit arms to the nearest security agency for prosecution, as our government is very determined to end this menace. Let us come together and work for safe and secure Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show. Thanks for staying with us. Now, this segment, you can get to be part of the discussion in the studio. let me just quickly say this. We do it every Tuesday. If you call in and your call gets through, do us a favor, turn down the volume of your TV set to avoid the hurlback or the echo. And we always encourage you to go straight to the point, keep it short, and don't waste too much time on greetings. The lines are not what you may hope them to be, and so we encourage you to just go straight to the point. We'll start off this segment with another of our reports, and this one is coming from Enugu.
The fourth extent of the realm, the media has played tremendous role in nation building. Being the watchdog of the society, it has bridged the gap between the government and the people, thereby promoting peace and stability for national coexistence. In recent times, news industry has observed an irrevocable change due to the introduction of the new media, which has altered the norms of the 20th century. With the key known features of new media such as digital, interactive, virtual, among others, which has distinguished it from traditional media. Experts in Enugu are of the view that the developments, if professionally checkmated and source verified, will go a long way in repositioning information dissemination in the country.
Now, the highest source of information dissemination in our society today, with email, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, etc., etc. Anybody can reach a mass audience within a space of seconds. So it has its own advantages. It also has its own demerit. So you must be very careful how we deploy our social media, especially in matters concerning the stability of our nation.
However, since newer communication technology has increased the possibilities of how people send and receive information in today's society, the continued growth of the trend has no doubt places that information consumers must no longer pass through traditional gatekeepers. Some experts in Enugu maintained that assessing the source credibility of this widespread information could be a challenge, even though it stands as the fastest and most affordable means of disseminating messages of hope, peace, and prosperity in the country.
We need information, we need to communicate. Social media will normally enhance communication, interpersonal relationship. But my fear is that it is now very easy to mislead people.
The new media we are talking about, first of all, we must have a kind of a regulation to start with, because there is nothing like absolute. Personally, I do not believe in gagging the media. I believe in that, in freedom of the press. But freedom without responsibility will lead to chaos.
On the contrary, some other key players in journalism profession opined that the new media could pose an inherent danger when not used or placed properly for the targeted populace.
Fake news trends in social media, alarm, raising false alarm, and so on and so forth, imagining things that never happened. And people now use it as an avenue, to even create tension, to hit the system.
Since the new media has created shift from the old notion of gatekeeping function of journalism to gate watching, media experts in Enugu concluded that it is imperative to consider the credibility function of any information from the new media, especially in a country like Nigeria that has millions of elites with diverse cultural backgrounds. In Enugu, Kelechi Ochiara.
All right, we have a caller already on the line, and this is Hassan calling in from Kanu. Hello, Hassan, go ahead. Hassan, are you with us?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can. Go ahead.
My name is Hassan calling from Kanu. I've had, first of all, I would like to say hi and welcome the people there in the studio. This is a very important topic you brought on today, on Tuesday Live. Now, talking about the role of media in national stability, there are so many things that have to be put in place. Now, first of all, the issue of politics. the government, most of these media organizations are used to play partisan politics in terms of putting in favoritism, ethnicity, prejudice, and sentiment into their work. And that really bring about a lot of hatred among Nigerians, and that really should be addressed. If really we are talking about using the media in terms of stabilizing the country to foster national unity and cooperation as it should be. Now, secondly, there is also the issue of passing on fake news. I could remember I was in Plateau one time when there was a crisis. What the people do mostly when there is any tension around in the state, people uses radio because there is one particular radio station that tell people, okay, the routes to follow that are safer. You understand? And that really help people a lot. But at the same time, by telling people the roads that are safer so that they will get to their home safely when there are, tension in terms of crisis like that, it also fuel in another act of violence and what have you understand, in other areas that don't feel okay what is going around in the other area that was just said in the news. It didn't go down well with them. So there are so many things that need to be checked. There are so many things that policies that the government are supposed to bring forward to make sure that all these things are being checked properly. And the issue of this social media, you can see that nowadays there are so many bloggers, there are so many platforms in terms of the social media that are passing on fake news or hate speeches. They are a kind of encouraging hate speeches among Nigerians, using politics as a basic tools to a kind of do these things. So I think these things should be checked really by the government, and by bringing in policies and other things, I think this will help regulate a lot of things, and it will bring stability and peace into the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Yeah, thank you, Hassan, for calling in. Well, let's go over to General IBM Haruna at this point and say, well, General, the prevailing security situation has now pitched news people against security agencies. With so many, scenarios playing out, where journalists believe that they have a right and a duty to report the truth as it is, and the security agencies would rather they did not do it in certain ways. In fact, sometimes journalists have accused security agencies of what they call esprit de corps, overriding national interest and therefore holding back vital information. At the same time, security agencies have accused journalists of irresponsible reporting. You who are a combatant and you've seen action, give us your thoughts on how to tread this middle path.
Well, my thought really is not treading on the middle path. My thought is how to gather together. The message really is not treading on how to gather together the information, the intelligence required for the purposes of creating a synergy between the journalists and the security agents, the energy that will allow both sides to inform and share intelligence responsibly. If I may just ask, how is it there is no credible or in-depth reporting from our journalists, I presume, sharing what they can get from investigative journalism. Bandits run their motorcycles freely in large numbers. They have fuel. They transmit foreign exchange or get foreign money. They have food. Most of all these, I presume, must be supplies from Nigeria. And if there is synergy and investigative and responsible journalism, I think that there will be a kind of confidence created between the security agencies and journalists, not the accusations we are getting or hearing about failure, because in each case it means either party is not working assiduously to ensure that the security, the well-being of the Nigerian citizens can be guaranteed not only by security agencies, but also by all citizens and all patriots, to which I like to group our journalists. And they must be party to it. Something is missing. Otherwise, we will not be getting the kind of fractures we are getting in our intelligence operations, and also in focusing on ensuring that the Nigerian security, Nigerian people's sovereignty is something to which every Nigerian, be he a politician or a soldier, military, security agencies, must commit themselves. And I think that is where the Nigerian politics comes in, because there is no real critical understanding of the threats that are posed to Nigeria, and for which Nigerian journalists and security agents alike must challenge. I think that if we look back several centuries, the Crusaders had their time. Now we are having the jihadists and diplomatic threats to our sovereignty. It is our cardinal duty as citizens, whether politician or security personnel, to ensure we operate together. We have the Biden belief that we can have unity in diversity. That unity cannot be achieved unless we have a strong background of what we all believe in, like that we believe in Nigeria. The sanctity of Nigeria as our territory and our haven for pursuing the worthwhile pursuits of life, to ensure that we have a future for our succeeding generations. I think if we don't work together, if there's no unity in diversity, then it is impossible for us to put in place what is our place in the world. What can we regard as success? I believe that the Nigerian challenge and measure of success must be on how far we can go in making Africa, the black man in the modern civilization, a credible belief that we can be great. We have the resources, we have the intelligence. But the challenge is that unless we can work together domestically, we cannot reflect externally what we believe Nigeria will come to be. It means, as at now, really, there is no consolidation of what we should believe in. The jihadis have something they believe in. The Crusaders had something to believe in. The modern day politicians must have an objective in order to belong to the present day world and put themselves in the real dynamics what will work and make civilization for the future worthwhile for our descendants.
Thank you, General. But Professor Patti, the journalists feel that it is patriotic to draw attention to certain failings in society, not the least agencies that are charged with certain responsibilities. So a journalist might tell you it is patriotic to report that there are challenges in the fight against insecurity, for instance, and they believe the patriotic sense in that is drawing attention to deal with lapses here and there. But the other side does not feel that way.
Okay, thank you. You see, we are giving national stability some kind of simplistic understanding and explanation in the Nigerian context, particularly sometimes by people who should know more. Stability is not just a wish. It's not something you simply say it out. You have to work, and you have to work deliberately to ensure that there is stability in the system. You look at the multicultural nature of Nigeria, how do you respect the sensitivities, the sensibilities of almost everyone in the system. Then you look at the performance of every institution. The journalist or the media is like a mediating agency. It reflects what happens in the various sectors, what is happening in the other sectors. If there are gaps, if there are deficiencies in the performance of other sectors, you do not expect the media to keep quiet. It has a responsibility. It has 4 cardinal responsibilities: the psychological, the structural, the constitutional, as well as the social. And these things, for them to happen, the journalists must engage in proper investigations, gather the facts, and reduce the level of uncertainty that exists on the minds of the people for them to come together. Now, we have collectively, through our own failures, turned Nigeria into something that you can describe as an unfortunate sick man that has refused to respond to treatment and has also refused to die, which means we have to continuously manage the patient. For us, perhaps we may get healed one day, but as it is, every other person is not doing what he or she should do. So therefore, it should not only be the media, and then you also have to look at the weaknesses and the problems that the media itself is grappling with. Funding is one. When you have a media sector that is economically weak, it becomes editorially also weak. Economic independence defines editorial independence. Unfortunately, in the Nigerian sector, the media itself is not that economically independent. We have what you could describe, because of the internet today, communicative abundance. So because of that, people have multiple access.
One of the toughest things here, yes, I still like to go back to terrorism.
Yes.
How do you report, you're a teacher, how do you report terrorism without glorifying
Whether
terrorism?
you report terrorism or you don't, other media organizations will report internationally, and people will listen. And that affects the credibility of your media organization internally. In the media, there are 4 major elements of communication for it to be trusted. 1, truthfulness, competence, relevance, and dynamism. And if you think you can sit somewhere and try to control these 4 elements, then you are simply wasting your time, because the internet has made things so easy and so possible today. Now, what we need to do in this kind of situations, how do we empower and strengthen our media organization for them to act as institutions that can be respected and that can keep those who should ensure security accountable? Issue of transparency and accountability is there. The president himself said, if we don't kill corruption, corruption will kill us. And you could see elements of incompetence, elements of corruption, and elements of unseriousness in governance of issues. And these things, the media must reflect them. The media must report about them. And when they do, some people feel unhappy. Some people feel sad. When you see in politics, for example, money being distributed for people to vote, the media reports, and when it reports, some people feel unhappy because they feel that they will lose power. So it's natural that the media will be turned into a whipping boy and will be turned into a criminal kind of thing. The criminalization of the media for some people to succeed in their criminality.
Okay, we'll return to that because there are still other issues. But we have Agu on the line from Kano. Hello, Agu.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes, go ahead, Agu, and turn down the volume of your TV.
Before I make my input, I want to really express my little bit. Okay.
Agu, I hear you hold back.
I'm trying to reduce the radio of the level of my
Please.
Can you hear me, sir?
Right, I can hear you, but turn down the volume of your...
I think before I make my input, I really want to make a statement. Somebody asked a question about what
Agu. All right. Agu, let me say this. You might have to call back. And please, we say this every Tuesday. You get through, you turn down the volume of your TV set. There's absolutely no need for you to listen to your own voice resonating. So turn down the volume and speak to us. Is it still there? Okay. Let's go back to the phones again. We have Ada calling in from Jos. Hello.
Hello?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Ada calling from Jos, Plateau State. The role of the media in a functional democracy can never be overemphasized. A seasoned journalist should not be involved in sensational and biased reportage. For instance, I used to wonder where they used to get the headlines from. You know, please, I don't know, your guest there should educate me on it. Sometimes you find a sensational headline. When you read that headline, when you read the story is at variance with the headline in the first instance. Then again, when you report that people died, I mean, you're reporting the number of people that died. Even if you're reporting the number, or if you're not even sure of the number, it's not even better. It's not even good to even report, start mentioning the number if you're not sure. You know, if you're in doubt, you don't report the number. You can just say people were killed. See them as human beings. Then the profiling, that's the one the bit I don't like. You know, you profile them. What, as far as I'm concerned, is mischief. Any journalist, anybody who is reporting that maybe 50 people died and Christians were killed more than the Muslims, it's not mischief as far as I'm concerned. You know, so people should go into responsible reportage. You know that. But the government gagging the media, I don't support it. Because what are you gagging them for? You can call them to order and all that, you know. Gag, suppress it. The world now is a global village. So you can't suppress any information. Other people will report it. Even that's a documentary they're talking about. I thought they would have called them and then, you know, caution them and all that. That documentary has been there now already. So what are you talking about? You can get it from anywhere with the kind of development we have now. So that's not the, and then the government on its own should not be economic with the truth. When you suppress the truth, you're wasting your time. Other people will report it. You know, maybe ahead. Just like one of your guests mentioned, that they are ahead of us. Sometimes we cannot get the information. There's people suppressing the media in Nigeria, and then you tune to CNN reports it. You go to Al Jazeera, they report it. So what are you talking about? So they should also moderate the way they see their own things as well. Then another thing is that a good journalist should have adopt a painstaking attitude while carrying out his duties to enable him differentiate between butter and margarine, even though it looks alike. You know. So, but all the same, I wouldn't say that our media have not been doing the best they can. But the government should not form this habit of trying to gag them, you know, trying to censor them to the ridiculous extent when the world is a global village in the first instance. That's the bit I don't like. God bless Nigeria. Let's not give up this country. We shall do well. I don't know.
Thank you very much, Ada from Jos. Well, Professor Layo, the considerations that drive you heard Ada talk about headlines, you know, being at variance with the body of the story. At some point we'll ask Chrissy Siguzo to comment on that. But Prof, the considerations that drive certain actions, nowadays it's directing traffic to your platform, and in doing that you can employ all kinds of gimmicks and all kinds of things to draw attention. Headline casting being one of them that draws attention. But again, beyond that, there's also the serious matter of economic survival, which Professor Patty talked about, weak economic base of media organizations. And how do you expect an organization that is struggling to keep a head above water, to also think about morals. You have staff to pay. It's generally known that journalists in this country are among the least paid in the world.
I think you have really touched, an important issue. We know, from, observation and from research that media content or media production generally is influenced by the economic situation within which the media, operates. You can't have good investigative journalism if you don't have the resources in terms of, experienced journalists who will do the investigation, and that means that you really have to pay a lot in terms of salary and other remuneration. You need resources in terms of, how do you get the information out? Traveling, a reporter doing investigation can be on one single story for 3 months or more, gathering the information to get to the truth. And I use the word truth, in a very, very carefully in quotation, because what is true to me may not be true to you. But you want to provide something that people can say, oh, there's some, sense in this story. It costs a lot of money. So good journalism costs a lot of money, and most Nigerian, media organizations don't have the kind of resources that can do good investigative journalism. Those that are doing such, particularly the online newspapers, they get funding from outside. And of course, those who are doing the funding are not doing it just for free. They are doing it for a purpose. They have their own interest to serve. Okay? So we need what we can call a third sector funding model in this country. The people who can put their money somewhere, a kind of media sustainability fund that can, support investigative journalism, by our media. Then, of course, we know that commercialization is the in thing now in the media. Somebody has talked about clickbait by the social media, the bloggers, and the so-called media or social media influencers. Well, that's something, that's a kind of nomenclature that I think we just wake up one day and give to some people, and then they become so very big because they are called influencers and they can say anything and get away with it. So those are the kind of, we create some of these monsters by the kind of, the way we describe them. So they now use all kinds of headlines, they use pictures, photographs to drive traffic. And the mainstream media, they're also doing it. I saw one newspaper today, the headlines were, or maybe the kickers were all in red. And I said, what is the purpose of this? Then the half of the full page, you have pictures. Then there's what is called the wrap round, from, media scholarship. The front page of a newspaper is probably the most important page for stories. But now you find that some Nigerian newspapers are ready to sell that to anybody who can pay money. So you find all of these kind of problems because of the economic situation, the economic problems that we have. The media are poorly funded. The owners just use them as instruments for their political interests. And then, of course, the journalists, for them to stay on the job, needs to do one thing or the other, like driving traffic, competing. The competition in the media market is very, very stiff. Very, very stiff. To stay afloat, you really need to do a lot. And then what we now find is that many newspapers in particular now sell their papers through their columnists, not through news. And what we know, newspaper is for news. But now what we get are opinions. So they get good writers who just churn out opinions day in, day out. In a particular edition, sometimes you can find about 10 different opinion articles. And you think that's a newspaper? No. So, but it's a way, they use their names, they use, some journalists have become more or less like celebrities, so they now use them to sell their newspapers. So these are some of the problems that we have. There is no analytical stories, no good feature stories, no good investigative stories in our newspapers. So it's a problem that we have, and that is part of the problem of the media and the issue of national security or national stability. Opinion writing, just to push it out there, you don't care what happens, and it's a major problem. So, but we have to go back.
Well, back to the phones now. We have Godwin from Otukpo. Hello, Godwin. Godwin from Otukpo, are you there?
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good evening. When the colonial master, before they came and they made observation about Africa, Otto Stanley, and for sure, before they came to Nigeria and Africa, they sent some media officials from Time Magazine, USA, and they give legacy information about Africa. And if we can take the initiative by ourselves now, we can change our negative information about ourselves by ourselves and Nigeria. And the information you give out, what you feed is what you give yourself. What you say about yourself is what people look at you, and that's not who you are. So the media is improving. Like those days, you don't have more than 2 or 3 stations in Lagos before. When I was in BI, when I grew up in BI, NTA 5, Lagos Weekend Television, and Clapperboard. But now there are so many media houses, and it's an idea for them to be able to save the image of Nigeria and then take away this feedback mechanism we have in political culture. The feedback mechanism break down the negative part of the information and then feedback back to the society again as output. And once you give it out as output, the negative part you filter them out.
All right.
Okay. The 2 billion naira to Niger government there's nothing wrong. Federal government can give out bonds, can sell bonds to some African developing nations that are Nigeria influence on. And when you give them that bond, it stimulates the naira. You understand? The American government just increased their banking rate, and it affected us so much. The dollar increase to almost 700 and something naira. Is the idea?
Okay.
Thank you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, Godwin from Otukpo. Well, back to the NUJ president. Politics is in the air, and in just about a month, the floodgates will open and the campaigns will start running proper. And there are all these issues in Nigeria, which of course will be thrown up as the campaigns go on. And we're looking at the role of the media. But I want you to take on this question. At the back of your mind, recall that when you send a reporter out who hasn't had breakfast and who is not likely to have dinner to go cover a political rally where all kinds of things are said and all kinds of funds are flying around, how would you turn around and expect responsible journalism?
Well, it is an age-long saying that the hungry man is an angry man. And from the contributions made so far, it has become more like a consensus that the media is poorly funded. And that aspect of a challenge in the media is really spiraling out of hand, out of control. Where you send somebody out, you have not properly equipped him, you've not done the needful, and you expect him to respect the ethical code. It will be difficult. That's the truth. So as we go to the general election, it becomes very, very important that we empower the set of journalists that we are releasing to the field. as for us in the NUJ, we have activated a whole lot of engagements where we are going to train our people, because we have also discovered over time that that is a major challenge we have. Like somebody said when we went on break or so, somebody was asking a journalist, a set of people that he was training was asking, how do you expect us to do this when we are hungry? Should we not go out and make money? And somebody also said, during the election, people are giving money, it's given to voters. The journalist is also a voter. He's also a Nigerian. He's also part of the public, you know. So, but we have to create these platforms where we'll continue to inculcate that patriotic and professionalism spirit in our journalists, in our today's journalists. It's a challenge we have. So we are taking it up very seriously, and we're engaging most of the media owners. Quite recently, we activated the stakeholders, platform, where the NUJ, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, Prof is part of it, the mass communication lecturers and consultants, the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, where we must come together. When you look at the NUJ, you're talking about the frontliners. Look at the Guild of Editors, you're talking about the gatekeepers. The Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, you're talking about the media owners themselves. And of course, Prof and his colleagues are the lecturers, the teachers of journalism. So we are coming together so as to cross-fertilize ideas on how to properly guide the professionals, guide all of us, because it's not just peculiar to the journalists in the field. The gatekeepers are involved. The media owners, Prof just talked about the issue of wraparound. Before now, if you want to understand the editorial position of a newspaper, just pick it and look at it. You have an idea. But today, because of the commercialization, there is wraparound shared by one political party across the media platforms. So when you pick any paper now, what you see is the message of the political party, because they also want money to sustain the company or to sustain what they are doing, so that they will also print tomorrow. So that's a problem. So we are activating this platform so that we properly, imbibe that professional, professionalism in our colleagues as we go towards 2023. Let us not just completely get carried away by what is flying left, right, and center. We recall during the primary elections of the political parties, how different currencies were flying left, right, and center. And the journalists will be like, wow, am I still in this system? I should equally collect my own while it flies. But I can assure you that at the stakeholders level, we are not delegates. All right. We are also trying to do what is necessary so that our people that will be going out for coverage during the election will do that with responsibility. Will bear in mind that after the elections, there should still be a Nigeria.
Right, let me go over to Teresa Tekina, and you are the social media expert, and you give the people what they want. Sometimes you hear some people say, look, but this is what the people want. They want to see these things. They want to see how, not minding the gory sights that are flashed around the world, and those who take these pictures and they go viral, and they say, but that is what people want to see. And some would argue that it's meant to hit out of their sensibilities so that something can be done. Do you agree with that?
I agree with what Prof said the other time about, the whole traditional media and how there's clickbait, sensationalism, and all of that. I think it's because media houses now realize that there is a still decline in readership, and that decline is also caused by digital media. So in a bid to, try and catch up with the young people on social media, they tend to want to sensationalize their news in a way that will appeal to, because young people are very instant, we want quick news, we want it to be very catchy and all of that. So digital media, it gives us that, room to just be ourselves. But at the end of the day, I believe that the traditional media, because they understand that they need to catch up with young people, they are sensationalizing news, and it's not good. But at the end of the day, this is what's happening. And when they come out, sometimes you see that the headline is carrying a different news, and then when you open the real story, that's where you now see the real news. But because they know that most young people don't have the patience to read the whole story, so they put the real news at the bottom, because sometimes a lot of young people are so lazy to finish the whole story, so they don't even get to see it. So that's why you see sometimes when you read the story, for me, I'm very particular about reading everything I see. So when I see a story, a headline, I click on it and I read, and then I go back to the comment section and I see that a lot of people are already judging and concluding based on the headline. And sometimes I respond, I'm like, did you even finish the whole story? Did you even see that this headline is not correct? So I think we need to be responsible at the end of the day. Journalists understand that there are challenges that has to do with funding, they have to survive and all of that. But we should also I keep emphasizing national interest. We should also consider that the news that people absorb, it could become truth. The lies could become truth if they are not being tackled. So it's just for us to be responsible at the end of the day. And another thing that is happening currently is on social media, because it's fast, it's instant. Whenever there is a news that it's something that people want to hear, because at the end of the day, you retweet something that suits your bias. When you feel like if you already have a side, if you already believe this is how something should be, when you see a post that correlates to your own thinking, you tend to want to, share it and increase the click rate. So if we can also check our bias as readers, check your bias and look at the source. There are people that you should follow. There are people that you follow that these people are credible. These people, whatever they post on their platforms, that's to an extent the truth. So follow people that have integrity, have some sense of responsibility, because the clickbait, the retweets and the shares, it can be interesting. Imagine when you post something and you see maybe 1,000 retweets and you're feeling like, I posted something, this thing is having lots of retweets. So sometimes they go overboard. They want to have more followers because it's like the biggest thing happening now. You can easily brag with it. I have 10,000 followers, I have 20,000 followers. So young people, I would advise, I use this opportunity to advise young people, please, it's beyond just having lots of retweets and likes. Ensure that whatever you're posting on your platform, it's verified, it's safe for public consumption. Please.
As we begin to wind down, General, I'd like to come back to you on the matter of insecurity, and this is because one who's been watching this program has not been able to get through on the phone, and there's a message which you would like particularly General IBM Haruna to talk about, and that's in the matter of reporting insecurity, attacks, and in the matter of casualties of security agencies. And so it's easy for everyone to just say, well, the military and all other security agencies are fighting the insurgency, fighting against bandits and kidnappers and all that. And there is, of course, going to be fatalities. How do you report that without mentioning? And this particular message says, you do see headlines, 100 soldiers killed, 50 soldiers massacred, military installations overrun. What does that do to the morale of the fighting men and women?
Thank you. Of course, we know that in sustaining the morale of the fighting men and people in the chain of the offensive. It's not only the fighting men, it also affects the non-fighting men and the citizenry whose moral support and confidence is needed to boost the desire of the frontline man to sacrifice his life for the goals of sustaining a Nigerian nation. But what shocks me most or surprises me is that 45 years ago, when I was Federal Commissioner for Information and Culture, the uppermost problem we had with regards to reporting and journalism as a whole was this issue of the welfare, the pay package, the balanced reporting that should be expected from journalists. At that time, the culture of brand envelope was surfacing, and up to this time, I think the challenge of taking care of not just journalists, but the practice of journalism is still irritating, because it is difficult to expect in a developing country like ours that the reporting journalists will not be tempted. And if you cannot pay the journalist, then he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And therefore, our journalists and the end of reporting can be screwed, corrupted, and bought over by our competing interests outside our domestic interests. Now, I think that we should expect our National Assembly to dig into this matter, because it's one of the foundation of threat to our national security if our people cannot get close to the truth of the matter, because those who can get to it and report on it are not so encouraged. They don't feel so secure. In the same way that their morale diminishes, you have that of the fighting forces and soldiers or security people having their morale and desire to stand up for the truth or stand up for the nation will be diminished. I think the National Assembly should go into it, and the private sector. We think that those we have made to now practice in accordance to the code of practice that did not exist then, but now it exists, like a professional practice of the legal practitioners. But I think that we must do something to cushion and provide fundamental basis that secures the practices of the media and the journalists a sense of citizenship, patriotism, and commitment, failing which we are putting them in the front line to report, and we are saying no brown envelopes. Then somebody must have to provide for their welfare. They have concerns about well-being like every other citizen. But I think I'm surprised to hear that this lacuna in our in our national balancing of rewards has not been made in a sufficiently positive way. Definitely, the morale of soldiers must be guarded, because we don't want the situation where not only the soldiers but people who are acting in the front line put down their arms or change their loyalty to the adverse side because that has happened, which has caused some disastrous revolutionary effects in certain climes.
All right. Well, thank you very much, General IBM Haruna, for your thoughts on this program. We thank you so very much, General IBM Haruna, former Federal Commissioner for Information and Culture and lawyer. Thank you for your thoughts and for being with us. Thank you so much. Well, we just have a couple of minutes or less to go. No one program can capture all the issues, but there's just one quick word I need from Professor Patti. In 20 seconds, they used to say, publish and be damned. Does that still hold?
Well, in an ideal setting, yes, but you know that there are always intervening variables. But I hope that is not my concluding statement.
Well, that should be actually, because we've just about run out of time, except for a recap of what we have talked about
okay,
here.
We need to understand that the media has a transformative capacity in a setting like our own. And like any other patriotic sector, an individual or professional, the journalist himself is also duty bound. But we also need to understand that things are changing, and there are multiplicity of channels now that the scarcity of attention also. So we need to manage information very well and equip our media as well as secure our journalists in terms of economic safety, psychological safety, and physical safety for them to engage in part of the transformative national agenda that we have.
All right. Thank you very much. And it is on that note we must conclude this program, end this conversation. For now, I'd like to say thank you very much to Professor Omar Patti, Vice Chancellor, Federal University Kashiri in Gombe State, Professor of Media and Society. Thank you. Comrade Chris Isiguzo, thank you so very much. President, Nigerian Union of Journalists, it's always a pleasure to have you discuss these matters.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
All right. And let me also say a big thank you to Teresa Tekena, the social media expert. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are the now people who should chase Chris and Co out of the scene, right? The Jay-Z's, right? Thank you for being here. And let me also extend profound thanks to Professor Layo Shaw, former Dean School of Communications at Lagos State University. Professor Layo Shaw, thank you for being with us tonight. And that's our program. Thank you for being with us. Next week, we'll be back with NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stover. Continue to stay safe.
Thank you.